Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, we are on. I am the Mojo King. He is the great Mike Steph, and we are Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the mighty 19 Media Group. Before we start, I'd like to thank our listeners and our watchers. We strive, we thrive because of you. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend. All right, how are you today, Mike Steph?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. All things considering, I don't know what the heck has happened to my neck. I had some injections last year, and I really forgot that when they wear off, they wear off. So yesterday when I woke up, I could not move my neck. It was almost like somebody just said, done. So if I'm more stationary, it doesn't mean that I'm frozen. It just means I'm trying to remain as still as possible. But besides that, I can't complain. You know, GSD, getting stuff done.
Well, your neck pain makes me feel better about my back pain. So we're both broken and old. It's okay. All right. Well, you have something to say, old man?
Oh no. I was about to say. So what you're saying as a tribute to the EBMD bucket hat?
That's a good look, man. I don't know. We can talk about the headphone thing later. Anyway,
Okay.
Let's not get into that.
See.
All right. Before we get into the games, Mike Steph, tell us about your one big thing.
Well, this week my one big thing is going to be centered around one of my arch nemesis, that team up in New England, the New England Patriots, and their patriarch of a coach. Do you know that this past Sunday, Bill Belichick experienced his worst defeat in his close to 30 years as head coach to the Dallas Cowboys by the score of 38-3, and it wasn't even that close. Part of the reason why I chose to spew my venom at the New England Patriots, never mind about the fact that they're like, 15-0 against my New York Jets the last 7 years, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that this is the first year in recent memory that you can truly look at that roster up and down, that you could truly look at the product on the field and be very confident that any team opposing the Patriots are probably going to end up the victor. I mean, just looking down at these stats right now, they're in the bottom half of the league in a lot of categories. They're only averaging 13.8 points a game on offense. They're allowing 24 points a game on defense, which is 21st in the league. Time of possession, which is usually one of the telltale signs of if Bill Belichick and Patriots are really grinding the ball out, they're 20th in the league in time of possession. They're middling 38% on third down conversion. And do you know they only have one interception as a team for the whole year? One. Here's another interesting stat. And here it goes that phrase again. Who would have thought a quarter way through the season that we would be talking about the New England Patriots at a 1-3 record, and the upstart Houston Texans would be 2-2 and looking like a way more formidable team than that team up in New England. Now, who's to blame? There's a lot of people to blame. Actually, too numerous to mention on this edition of Hidden Gems Football before, we get out of here. But I think the center of attention has to be the arrow has to be pointed at Bill Belichick. I think a lot of his thinking, especially on the offensive side, is very archaic. The days of 3 yards in a cloud of dust have been over for years. You tried to experiment last year with the special teams coach and the defensive coach running the offense. Now you have Bill O'Brien running the offense, but it's a lot of junk that he's having to clean up. Mac Jones is not that dude. He might have been better off actually hitching his wagon to Bailey Zappi, as strange as that may sound, but in the limited games that we saw last year, it seemed like he galvanized the troops way more than Mac Jones. They have no receivers. I can go down the line. Even their formidable defense is taking shots. We just found out today that Gonzalez, the rookie cornerback, is out for the majority of the season. He has a torn labrum. They did a trade with J.C. Jackson, you said?
Yep.
To get some help on the back end. Matthew Judon, he's out for the foreseeable future with an injury sustained in last Sunday's game. So even their defense that they would be beholden to keep them in games is taking shots. So, that preseason prediction that they were going to be like 8-9, 7-10, looking more like they might be at 6-11. That's 6.5. Remember, both me and you looked at that over under 6.5. Like, hold on, this is Bill Belichick. Like, got to give him at least credit. Some credit. At least get 8 games. Through 4 games, sure. I don't know where another five wins are coming from. So that's my surprising big thing this week.
All right. My quick question for you is, do you think Mac Jones lasts the season? And do you think there's any chance that Belichick walks off into the sunset after the season?
Well, I'll go to second first. Belichick isn't walking off. They're going to have to even push him out. He's so close. No, he's so close to that all-time coaching win mark. He's not leaving 13 games, 13 wins short. He's not. And nor do I believe that Robert Kraft, even though there is cracks in their relationship, I don't think Robert Kraft wants to be the one that's actually pushing the legend of six Super Bowls out the door. If anything, I could see them taking some of the responsibilities away from him, or at least forcing him to have help on the personnel end. As for Mac Jones, there's no guarantee Mac Jones is going to start this week.
Fair enough. All right, let's turn our attention to the Thursday night game. It's a doozy. The 0-4 Chicago Bears are heading to Washington to face the 2-2 Commanders. Vegas has it as the Commanders a 5.5-point favorite and the total points being 44.5 points. If you project that out, that would be the Bears scoring 19.5 while the Commanders score 25. As far as injuries, the Bears are pretty healthy on offense, and they might be getting some help on defense as cornerback Jalen Johnson and I believe safety Eddie Jackson might be back for the week. They did not play last week. For Washington side, they're mostly healthy too, but they do have a concern at wide receiver. Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel, Dotson's ankle, Samuel's quad, have them both limited and questionable for the game. It's been really interesting. Dotson hasn't had much action this season, even though he is the number 2 receiver. But Curtis Samuel has been kind of a key for Hal. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game?
This is one of those games I looked at the slate and I'm like, we got to talk about these 2 teams. These Thursday night matchups are a doozy, boy. Oh my goodness. The Bears, I'll start with them. They come into this game fresh off a 31-28 loss to the previously winless Broncos. They coughed up a 28-7 lead in the last 19 minutes of that game, late third quarter. Justin Fields had a costly fumble that led to the game-tying score. Even that being said, you got to consider that was probably his best game of the season, throwing for 335 yards with 4 touchdowns. But, here goes the BUT, they still, to me, they still aren't playing to his strength. They're not utilizing his strength, which is his legs. He only had 4 rushes this last game. I believe he has less than 30 rushes for the whole season. And to me, that is not sustainable whatsoever. Maybe, just maybe, on a critical 4th and short play, if they would have utilized Justin Fields' legs, they might have came out of Soldier Field with a victory. Now, going over to the other side, the Commanders, they're fresh off a loss too, albeit a hard-fought one against their division foes, the Philadelphia Eagles in overtime, in which they actually had a chance to win the game in regulation if they would have went for it. If they would have went for the 2-point conversion. Riverboat Ron. The reason that he didn't go for the 2-point conversion is the fact that his team, his offense was gassed after that long drive to tie the game. So you mean to tell me you don't want to go for one more extra play because your team was gassed, but you rather take your chances into a potential 10 more minutes of football with that same gas team against a team that you had on the ropes? Tell me where does the sense come into that? I don't know. Now, here's another interesting stat. I just realized there's one of these shows that are starting to take my interesting stats catchphrase. I think it's the McAfee show because they actually had on a banner, interesting stat by Himbo. And I'm like, hold on. Look, I know we're upstart, even though it's our second year. I know, as much as we would love to have in our mind, we're a nationally syndicated YouTube show, if that makes sense. But blatantly taking catchphrases from the small guys. Look, I love Pat McAfee, but that was low even for you. But interesting stat nevertheless. This is the battle of the two bottom 4 defenses in the league. Do you know that both of these teams are giving up an average of over 30 points a game? That means their defense is trash. So, with that being said, I'm looking at that over-under. And both these two team defenses are trash. And I know that the figures you came out 25 and a quarter and 19 and a quarter and all that. I'm looking at that over. I'm going over. Now, as for the spread, I don't trust Washington to win more than three by 3 points. So I'm going to go money line Washington. The spread, you know what? I don't trust. I trust Chicago even less. So money line Washington, the spread Washington, and I'm going over because neither of these teams can stop a nosebleed. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, we are in alignment here completely. Washington has played nothing but close games this season. It seems like they either play up or down to their opponents. Each game has seemed to come down to the last score. And so that 5.5 makes me a little bit nervous. But it's against the Bears, which seems like you should do it. I would probably lean Washington, but I don't think it's a bet. But like you mentioned, that over-under, I'm still stunned by it. I feel like I need to go check my notes again because it seems way too low. 3 of the 4 games that the Bears have played have gone over 50 points. And in 3 of the 4 games that Washington played have gone over 60 points. So 44.5 here, it seems like a no-brainer. Actually, if I hadn't been taking notes up until post time, I would have made that bet already. But as soon as we get off, I'm making that bet.
Sounds like a good choice. Are you doing Parlay City or are you doing one by one?
That one I'll probably do individual. And then, I always have to do my wild, insane parlay to try to get rich and end up just throwing money away.
You know what 50 said? Get rich or die trying.
Hey, man, I put a couple dollars in the Powerball, put a couple dollars in the Super Parlay, and then we'll see what happens.
Shoot, then you be living the life of the PIMP.
Hey, you know about me.
What you know about me? I don't know what you heard about me.
Are you ready to step up your style without compromising the planet? Introducing the exciting partnership between BLUEVIEW Footwear and the 19 Media Group Network. Just visit bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19 to start your sustainable style journey. Our friends over at BLUEVIEW Footwear are renowned for introducing the world's first fully biodegradable sneaker. By using plant-based plastics, they are leading a revolution in cleaner materials and manufacturing. They have sleek and contemporary styles that cater to a wide range of tastes. BLUEVIEW Footwear believes that fashion and sustainability can coexist harmoniously. Explore their incredible collection of eco-friendly footwear by visiting bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19. If you let us know you made a purchase, we'll shout you out on our next show. Again, just visit bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19 today, and you'll see the ultimate collaboration of fashion, sustainability, and media excellence.
All right, let's jump ahead a couple of days and jump across the pond over to London for the Sunday morning Jacksonville Jaguars facing the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 3-1 and 5.5-point favorites over the 2-2 Jaguars. The total is projected out to be 48.5 points. That means that Vegas is thinking that the Jaguars will score 21.5 while the Buffalo Bills score 27. Side note, it's kind of interesting that Jacksonville is the road team for this game, even though they've been sitting in London for over a week now. As far as injuries go, Jacksonville has a key one. Zay Jones, his knee still has him questionable. There's no updates really. He hasn't played since week 2. And then linebacker Devin Lloyd is listed as out, but I'm not sure if that's just not updated from last week or not. Apparently these lack of updates is a European thing. On Buffalo side, the offensive starters are healthy, but they are having issues in their defensive backfield. Safety Jordan Poyer with his knee and corner Christian Benford are both questionable and day-to-day. And unfortunately, last week they lost Tre'Davious White with a torn Achilles. You hate to see injuries with anybody, but with such a talented kid as White having multiple season-ending injuries, it's really kind of horrible to see. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game?
Before I just got that update from you about the ravaged defensive backfield of the Buffalo Bills, I was thinking that this game was going to be a no-brainer, which is still to me it's going to be a no-brainer. The Jags, as you said, they play their second consecutive week in Europe, even though they're classified as the away team. But to me, that has to be a disadvantage to the team that's coming abroad, because they have less than a week to kind of assimilate themselves to the new, time zone, just everything, the long flight, the whole nine. But yet you have a team that's been there going on 3 weeks. That to me, the NFL wants to talk about, competitive fairness or what have you. That's not to me, that's a competitive disadvantage to the team that's flying over against a team that's already been there, which is apropos because the Jacksonville Jaguars need all the help they can get. To me, they have been very unimpressive, even though they won last week against the hot Atlanta Falcons 23-7. But even in that 23-7, that was just the best part about that game was if you watched it in animation. That was the best part about that game. I like I said, I have no faith in Jacksonville whatsoever. Trevor Lawrence has been mid. Their running game, they can't get their running game going. The defense, they're just middle of the pack in everything. And right now, their coaching is proven to be middle of the pack because I don't believe he's taking advantage of the weapons that they actually do have on that team. Now, as for the Bills destroyed the Dolphins, that is, at home, 48-20. Josh Allen scored five touchdowns last week. Four passing, 1 running. He threw for 320 yards on 21 and 25 passing. The defense is top 5 in damn near every category. Their first in sacks was 16. Their first in interceptions with 8. Now, like I said at the very beginning, with their ravaged defensive backfield, how impressive are they going to remain on the defensive side? That's to see. But one thing, they're establishing the running game for the first time in recent memory. Now, they're not getting a lot of yardage per se, but that threat of running, they got Murray, they got Cook. They was actually making a point to establish the running game instead of using Josh Allen as their running back. And when I say they're feeding Stephon Diggs, they're feeding him with the rock, that boy got he got 31 receptions on 39 targets. A happy Diggs is a productive Diggs. So I say all that to say Bills, money line, Bills, the cover, and I'm staying away from the over-under. Yeah, I'm actually going to refrain
Well, we're lining up again. The London factor to me is interesting. I think that's the reason the spread is only 5.5 points when you consider how both teams have played. But for me personally, we're 4 games in. I'm starting to actually take teams as what they've showed as opposed to what I think they were going to be. Jacksonville just hasn't been impressive on offense. And until they start looking impressive, I can't consider them that anymore. So I'm going to take Buffalo with the 5.5 points. Although I will say that I would avoid taking Buffalo in Survivor because I am still a little bit worried about that London factor. And I am, even though I just said not to be worried about it, I am a little bit worried that sooner or later, Trevor Lawrence and company will figure it out and explode. And as far as the over-under, just like you, I'm leaving it alone. I just don't like it at all. I'm not even looking at it. All right, let's move back to stateside with the Sunday games, and let's talk about some Survivor picks. And I think there are 2 games that are pretty obvious on that list. First up, we have the 1-3 New York Giants heading to Miami to face the 3-1 Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 11-point favorites. The total is projected at 49.5 points. That means Vegas is thinking that the Giants will score 19.25, while the Dolphins score 30.25. As far as injuries, the Saquon Barkley watch continues. If you remember, originally they said they expect him to miss 3 weeks. So maybe this is the week he comes back, maybe next week. I'm not sure yet. They do have some offensive line issues as tackle Andrew Thomas and center John Michael Smith Jr. are questionable as well. On the Dolphins side, all their skill players are coming the week healthy, but center Connor Williams, linebacker Jalen Phillips, and safety Deshaun Elliott are all questionable. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game? Do the Giants have any chance?
I'm going to say it every time that they're topic on Hidden Gems football. My normal New York Giant G-Men slander is on pause for the season for various reasons. But first and foremost, due to respect to my late brother. So I'm just going to go with facts. I'm going to go with stats. The Giants are coming off a 24-3 loss this last Monday night against the Seahawks, in which they allowed 11 sacks, gave up a pick 6, and that pick 6 was a 97-yard return, interception return. And they picked up some new controversy, starting with the relationship or lack thereof between Coach Brian Daboll and quarterback Daniel Jones. Daboll was seen tossing the tablet after discussing that fatal pick 6 with Daniel Jones on the sideline. And there's been a lot of scuttlebutt in the New York media on whether or not it was justified, whether or not Daboll went a little bit too overboard, or this is what they actually got by trying to will themselves into thinking that Daniel Jones is that franchise quarterback. The Giants are 1-3. These are the margin of defeat for their losses. 40 points, 18 points, 21 points. This may be karma for choosing Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley, who was hurt. Yeah, I get it. And if I was Saquon Barkley, I would not be rushing back to put my body on the line for a team that decided to give me an extra meal in incentives after I held out for a couple of days, and you gave the bag to the quarterback who is not performing at the level that you would expect him to perform at for the amount that you're paying him. To me, Saquon Barkley's injury is actually exposing Jones for not being the guy. Also, here's another interesting stat. Yeah, take that. Daniel Jones is becoming the reincarnation of Kirk Cousins, except he has at least one win on his resume in primetime games. This past Monday night made him a collective 1-13 in primetime games. Now, as for the Dolphins, their unbeaten streak was snapped in Buffalo, by getting stomped, by getting smashed by Bill Mafia. Do, 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 do. 48-20 this past Sunday. I had to do it. Devin A-Chain, rookie running back for the Dolphins, is a force. And he has been a force since he's been used regularly. Do you know he had 309 yards on only 27 carries? That's damn near 11 and a half yards per carry. Even though this offense is dynamic, to me it was proven it can be slowed down. So, with all those facts, with all those stats, the Miami money line, I mean, they've proven that they could stomp inferior opposition. Are they going to score 70 points again? Coming off a loss at home against the New York Giants team that's in disarray? I have a little bit more faith in Wink Martindale as defensive coordinator to prevent them from scoring 70. But 50 is not out of the question. So, moneyline Dolphins. Spread Dolphins. That over-under is tempting. It's tempting. But I'm going to go under because I don't have faith in the Giants scoring the requisite amount of points to cover that over.
Both teams are coming off of embarrassing losses. The Dolphins, everybody was like, oh, the Buffalo has to prove themselves in this game. And they stomped the mud hole in the Dolphins. Now the Dolphins need to prove themselves again. But with that said, the Giants game was definitely more embarrassing. This just shouldn't be a team that the Giants can hang with. As long as the Dolphins don't make any stupid mistakes. I will say this, though, in defense of the Giants. I think their defense has been sneakily decent. It's just that the offense has been so bad that they've allowed points even when the defense has been okay. With that said, I think they're kind of overmatched here with all the talent that the Dolphins have. So the Dolphins, to me, seem like a lock for at least 28 to 35 points. I don't know. I think you're pushing it over there with 50, but, maybe I could see it. But I think the Giants defense will hold up at least that much. But my question is, can the Giants offense put up 20 points? I say if Saquon comes back, then I'm going to go, yes, they can, and go with the over. If he's not coming back, I'm just not going to bet it. I probably think it'll go under, but I'm not betting it. This is an easy survivor selection. And with the Dolphins, there's one other game that's a pretty easy selection too. The one thing I will say is if you're in Survivor, everybody's going to be picking the Dolphins here if they still have them available. So you might want to pivot just to, in case the Dolphins somehow lose, then, you take out a whole swat of people. But generally speaking, I don't think that's always the wise thing. I think you go with the best choice you have available. And as far as betting the 11 points, I just don't feel comfortable with it. I think that's too many points for a comfortable betting with, considering the Dolphins got embarrassed last week. So just to wrap that up, Dolphins definitely to win, which makes them survivor selection. I would not touch that 11 points, and I'm also not touching the over or under unless Saquon is back, and then I'm going over.
I get it. I think even if Saquon is back, he's not going to be 100%, and he'd probably be on a little pitch count because he's going to have to, kind of get his acclimated back to the offense and, just the workload. So, yeah, it would take pressure off of Daniel Jones to have to throw every down, but I don't think he would be as explosive as you would hope that he would be to really make an impact on the offense per se, on the scoreboard.
The thing is, I don't necessarily think his actual actions have to cause that much of a change as much as it affects how the defense will look at him. And it might give Jones a little bit more confidence because I think he's shot. And if something could help him, like having a star running back behind you, maybe it propels the offense into doing a little bit of something, even if Saquon is limited.
Yo, what's up? I'm Desmond, and I'm the host of Hip to the Games, a podcast from 19 Media Group, where the brilliance of basketball and hip-hop's past and present is genuinely appreciated. Join me every other Friday as we celebrate some of the greatest artists, albums, moments, songs, bars, punchlines, NBA teams, players, just anything and everything to do with the game of rap and the game of basketball. See, if you like basketball and hip-hop, that means you're hip to the games. But no matter where you fall on that spectrum, I encourage you to join the fun every other Friday on your favorite podcast platform, courtesy of the great 19 Media Group.
All right, moving on to our second big survivor game. That will be the 0-4 Carolina Panthers heading to Detroit to face the 3-1 Lions. The Lions are 9.5-point favorites here. The total is projected out to 44.5 points. That means the Carolina Panthers are projected to score 17.5, while the Detroit Lions score 27. As far as injury, Carolina wide receiver rookie Jonathan Mingo is in concussion protocol. We'll see what happens as the week goes on. For Detroit, Amon-Ra St. Brown has an undisclosed injury and undisclosed status. He is just questionable. It should be noted that he played his normal amount of snaps last week, so there didn't really seem to be anything going on there. We're not really sure about what's going on with him. But what we do know is that Jamison Williams is coming back early from his gambling suspension. The NFL, for some reason, dropped 2 games off his suspension, so he is able to come back this week. Mike Steph, what do you think about this? And does that make you want to play for the NFL and gamble anyway?
No, I just want to play for the NFL. I want to play for the NFL just for the check. The Panthers, their rookie quarterback, Bryce Young, is having growing pains so far. I don't know if it's him or the Praycorn. Their head coach is an offensive guru, Frank Reich, right? But there's no explosiveness as of yet on the offense. Do you know that he's averaging 34 passing attempts a game, but he's only passing for an average of 167 yards a game? The math ain't mathing, which is only 6.4 yards per attempt. Adam Thielen is their leading receiver with 27 grabs and 2 TDs. He's actually come through 2 weeks in a row with the fantasy for me, even though, that's neither here nor there. To me, averaging 17 points a game on offense, and like I said, with Frank Reich being this offensive guru, to me, that doesn't bode well for their future. But I guess this was always thought of as a rebuilding year, just trying to get Bryce Young acclimated to the NFL and so forth. If you want to think about it, between him and CJ Stroud, it's not even close. CJ Stroud is doing phenomenal. And everybody thought it might have been the reverse. Well, a lot of people thought it might have been the reverse. Myself included. Now, the Lions, there's not much to say about them. They're 3-1. They got a 3-1 start for the first time in recent memory. They went into Green Bay last Thursday night and won in convincing fashion. The last 2 victories have been by an average of 14 points per game. So, that 9.5, yeah. I know it's funny to say that someone would be confident in taking a 9.5 spread with Detroit as the favorite. But guess what? I'm that guy. I'm going to take the spread. Now, for that over-under, I'm staying away from that under. I'm staying away from that over-under just because I'm not that confident in Carolina to either go over or under on their half. I know Detroit's going to score. I just don't have faith in Carolina. So, Detroit with the spread, Detroit money line, and I'm staying away from the over-under. Yeah, I know that was short-winded for me, right?
Hey, man, I think you hit all the points perfectly. Thielen has 27 catches, 287 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Carolina this season, by far their leading receiver. And that's after having only 2 catches and 12 yards the first week. So the last 3 weeks, he's been really stepping up. But the problem is he's a possession receiver at this point. He's not going to really blow the doors off anything. They don't have that receiver. And in fact, if they were going to have that receiver, it would be Mingo, who is in concussion protocol as we speak. So I'm not feeling that great about Carolina's upside coming in. Detroit is playing too well, while Carolina is not playing well. And they only scored 13 points last week versus Minnesota. So if you only scored 13 versus Minnesota, I don't like your chances this week. So Detroit should blow them out. That 9.5, I'm with you. I'm taking it all the way. I will definitely put some parlays with Detroit in there. But I am afraid of that over-under. Carolina just isn't scoring enough. And somehow they seem to be slowing down opposing offenses a little bit too. If I was going to bet anything over, it'd be Detroit themselves. They're projected for 27. Maybe I would think they get more than 27. Maybe not. So I probably would just leave it on. I think I would just take Denver minus 9.5. All right, Mike Steph, is there any other game that you find of interest this week?
Even though I know I said in pre-production, are we going to talk about one? I'll say two real quick. First and foremost, that would be the Sunday night matchup between the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Dallas Cowboys in a matchup of two Super Bowl contenders coming out the NFC. To me, this would be a litmus test for both teams, but more for Dallas, because Dallas, think about it. They beat the Giants. They beat my New York Jets, and they've beaten New England. In those three games, they've given up a total of 13 points. Their one loss was against the Arizona Cardinals, in which they gave up 28 points. Now, if they're everything that they're claimed to be, if their newfangled offense with managing or allowing Dak to manage, or should I say making Dak manage the game, it's going to be put to the test against this ferocious 49er defense. And on the opposite end, their supposed number one, number two, number three defense is going to be put to the test against a multifaceted offense with the 49ers. You got McCaffrey, CMC doing the damn thing. Hopefully this will be the week they'll both have Ayuk and Debo to their disposal, because they've been alternating weeks, and no matter whichever one starts is the one that eats. And Kittle has been nice and consistent, and Purdy has been looking Purdy. So that's game number one. Game number two, of course, I got to talk about my Jets. They go into Mile High for the Hackett Bowl. Offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett was the subject, or was the topic of severe slander by Mr. Peyton Oswalt, Mr. Sean Payton, over the offseason. And being the fact that they're both 1-3, not only is it just like a revenge game, so to speak, it's actually a game of survival. The Jets are only averaging 15 points a game on offense, but coming off their 23-20 loss this past Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs, Zach Wilson might have turned the corner. Just might have turned the corner. Hopefully. But if he cannot sustain the success that he garnered this last Sunday night against his putrid Denver defense, Denver's given up 37 points a game on defense. So if he can't, everybody scores against Denver. So if he can't put at least 20 up on the board, then that was kind of a mirage. So, those are my two games of the week. I'll go with 49ers in this Sunday night matchup. And of course, I'm going to be a Homer Jones, New York Jets to smack the sugar honey iced tea out of the Denver Broncos. Yeah. How about you, Mo?
I'm going to ask you a very quick question about the Jets in a second. But I would say that Jets-Broncos game, I actually would take the over as far as scoring. I think it's 43.5. The Broncos don't stop anybody, but they do score, so that seems like a no-brainer to me. Did New York just see something like this? Not the Jets, though. The Giants. Didn't they just experience something like this? A very solid second half by a quarterback that had been struggling, and then everybody got hyped and thought it was the turnaround of the century. Didn't that just happen in New York?
Different situation. Meaning, I don't believe that Daniel Jones had the amount of slander, had the amount of arrows pointed in his direction. At least he has shown in the past that he was capable. But on a big stage like it was this past Sunday night, with all the lights, all the cameras on Taylor Swift, and the return of Aaron Rodgers, and the slander by Joe Namath, Jets legend, and for him to actually be able to use the offense and show off his skills in a consistent fashion. Yes, I know he had a fumble to ultimately cost him the game, but that's neither here nor there. To me, there's two totally different situations, and that's not me just being a homer. It's just, I mean, Zach Wilson wasn't expected to do anything. At least Daniel Jones always had that possibility that he could pop.
Okay, Zach Wilson was a number 1 draft pick. Like, he was drafted in the first round. The Jets did think he had a chance to pop. But my more important point is that Zach Wilson has one more game. Jet fans better hope he shows it, and he is special this week because he's going back to Pumpkin Land after this week.
We was doing so good this week. I swear, we was doing so good. You know, I was even going to mention that how lucky you were that the referees and Taylor Swift stole that game this past Sunday night, because Mr. Survivor pick last week, the gimme, almost got eliminated by being gutless by picking against my New York Jets. See, I wasn't going to say nothing. I was going to let you rock. So what you saying?
All right. I might have to take Denver this week.
Go ahead. Your money.
Mike Steph, take us out.
Yes. This has been a very interesting stat-laden edition of Hidden Gems Football. But as always, we'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making us the football show that y'all choose to view and y'all choose to listen to. So with all that being said, even though my head is getting real, it's starting to hurt because this hat is tight like a mother. Hidden Gems Football has been a part of the 19 Media Group. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Good luck, Zach. Good luck.
The headbanger. What? The headbanger. What? Oh, that was my jam.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
Lies, rumors, and lies.
Oh,
rumors, and lies. Let her go solo. Can't hold me back. And this is something that my boy, Money Mike, asked me. So I'm gonna ask you. Best duo rappers. I know you could go Gangstar. But
right, you could go Gangstar, you could go Rakim.
Eric B and Rakim, yeah, but no, 2 rappers.
All right, so you got EPMD, you got Mobb Deep, you got Outkast.
Smith and Wesson.
I like Smith and Wesson. I wouldn't put them in that category. I even know if they're the best duo in boot camp. I like Helter Skelter better. But I could see it. I could see why you would do that. Mm-hmm.
There was one time Prodigy could be seriously in the consideration, especially like 96 era, as probably the best lyricist in New York.